my name is Duanne, and I'm from the Leeds store. Today we're going to show you 5 techniques to use when making a card. We're going to be covering stamping, die cutting, embossing, paper punches, and decoupage. For this demonstration, we're going to be showing stamping and how to use it for wedding cards and wedding stationery. We're going to be using a clear stamp and acrylic block. The reason for this is we can see exactly where we're going to be placing the sentiments and the designs. I'm using a spirit-based ink because it dries a lot faster. Place the flat part of the stamp onto the clear acrylic block. Use the rulers on the acrylic block to position us evenly. Open up your ink pad and rather use the ink pad to ink the block than to place the block into the ink pad. That way you get a lot more even coverage. Line the design up and press down firmly and evenly. The stamp can be cleaned with a baby wipe and then place it back into the 2 pieces of acetate. The next part of the design we need to use is the frame. Center the design on the central part of your card and once again press down firmly and evenly. When you're done with the stamp, once again place in the acetate sheets. Next we are going to move to the sentiment. Line it up on the central line and then once again ink. And there you have the first technique on using stamping to create wedding invitations and cards. Next, we're going to cover die cutting. You need a die cutting machine, your base card, some paper, a piece of thick white card, clear foam squares, a glue stick, and a pair of scissors. For the thin dies, we make sure that all the tabs are down and we're only going to use the transparent cutting plates on top of them. For slightly thicker die, the thickness of this die would now replace the thickness of your base plate. The blades are hidden between a black sponge and press through. Place one transparent cutting plate down, place your die down with the blades facing up, place the paper over the die, top it with a transparent plate, and send it through the big shot. Remove all the singular parts that you need. Now you're ready to make your card. Once everything has been arranged, you could use something called a glue pen, which is a quickie glue pen. It dispenses blue glue, which turns clear, and set them aside for a few minutes to dry. Then bond these onto your card using clear foam pads. And that is how to use die cut elements on making a card. Next, we're going to cover embossing on card. For this you're going to need a die cutting machine that has an embossing capability, an embossing folder, your card, the embossing pads, the embossing inks, transfer tape, and a cutting mat. Let's get started. You'll find that an embossing mat, once you open it up, has got a positive and a negative side. Usually the side with the print part is the side that you're going to have a raised finish on. Open up your embossing folder and slip the cardstock right to the back of the spine. Open up your plates until you find the embossing folder design. To enhance the embossed design, we're going to be using a distress ink run from the outside towards the inside in round polishing motions. Once the piece of cardstock has taken up all the colour, accent it straight away. For this I'm going to use a slightly darker colour just along the edges. That way you get a nice contrasted finish to put onto your card. And that is how to use embossing on making a card. Next, we're going to go into paper punches. For this instance, I'm going to be using a luggage tag punch. I'm going to be using fine liners in a multitude of colours, tacky glue, wooden letters that are in colour, and my base cardstock in white. Let's get started. First what we need to do is cut out one punch set in every colour that we're going to be using. Once you have all your elements cut out, you're now ready to put onto your cardstock. Once you're happy with the design, stick these down. For this I'm going to be using transfer tape. Then I'm going to choose the wooden letters to make the letter thanks to place on top. These I'm going to glue down with some tacky glue. And then create the string from your tags by using your fine liners, doing an irregular line above them. And there you have a card using paper punches as a thank you. Next, we're going to be covering decoupage in making a card. you're going to need a cutting mat, a small pair of scissors, a ruler, transfer tape, glue dots, a fine liner, a button, some brown card, pattern card, and your base of a black card. To get started, what we're going to need to do is measure out the size of the black card against the brown card, and using a closed pair of scissors, mark where you need to cut. Align these marks up to your blade and the cutting wire. Next, you need to remove most of the front of the black card. Take off 3/4 up to the spine. Bond the brown card to the top. Next, bend down part of the card to form a leaf. This needs to go about halfway down the width of the card, and using the back part of a pair of scissors, polish down. Now that the lapel is done, we need to do the top part of the collar. Turn it over and trim off the excess with a pair of scissors. Now you need to create a shirt. For that, I'm going to be using a pattern piece of navy paper. Slip that into the card to the back of the spine. Lift up gently and bond down. Next, use a piece of the brown cardstock to create your pocket and glue that all down. Place that down to form the pocket. Now you need to create the pocket square. You fold over into a triangle and then trim off with a pair of scissors. Place one behind the other at a slight angle and then glue down with transfer tape. Lift up the pocket and slip the fabric down. Use a glue dot and glue a button to the top. And there we have completed using the decoupage system making a card. To sum up, the 5 techniques we used for making a card were stamping, die cutting, embossing, paper punches, and decoupage. For any more information on the products we've used, go to our website, or please come and visit one of our colleagues in store.